Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. We're going to try again. Sorry about that. I think that was totally on my end. I think that was totally on my end. But we're continuing here. We're going to try again. So we're going to try and get Rick back in here now. And hopefully, you guys will figure out that there is a new link to join our stream. So many apologies about that. I think that was on my end. Technical issues when you're live, anything can happen. So let's go ahead and see if this works. I will throw a message in the other. There we go. I think it's working now. So if you're just joining in or trying to get Rick back in, I think that was totally on my end. But we are going to we're going to try again. Hopefully it works this time. So I'm going to just pop into the old see if the chat is still going in the last one. I don't think it is. But all right, I think we're good now. I think we're good. We're just going to try and get Rick back in here. Send him the link. So sorry about that, guys. Thank you for your flexibility. I'm not sure what may have happened. Weird stuff, but we're trying again. So hello, Paul. Hello, Jason. Hey, Mary. Hey, Dave. Rick, we're trying it again. Let's see what works.
Great, we're live. This is a different link, though, right?
Different link, yes.
So I use StreamYard also. Looks like you use it. Is this? So this is a different YouTube stream right now, right?
It's a different. Yes, it is a different one. I think like most people are filtering back in, it looks like. I think if most people who are subscribed to the channel, they get a notification that it's restarted. So
Cool.
that brings it back in. So
nice. Cool.
Yeah, I think we're good. So sorry about that. I really think that was on my end. I think something was going on with my connection or
it's technology.
Yeah, gotta love it. Technology. And it was weird because towards the end of the last one, I saw it said Victoria twice. Like there was another thing. So what I'm thinking is like there's some sort of multiversal crossover that's occurring. Like me from another alternate timeline was trying to like come into the chat or something.
Like it. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Anyway, what was I saying before?
Well, no, we were just talking about how much we love Keaton and we ultimately love the film.
Yeah.
And then and I think that, kind of just ties that all together, right? We both love it. It's unfortunate that more people aren't seeing it. So
yeah, for sure. And I think the last thing I said was there was basically the Dark Flash proved Bruce's from the beginning's point. You end up alone if because he ended up alone. Dark Flash was by himself. He had aged. Still?
you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I good?
You're good.
And I got your text, so all good. All good.
No, I'll just say this because kids are going to start and then it'll be chaos. But no, we got time. We got time.
All right. Cool. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it overall. I thought it was great. It hit all the right beats. It was really entertaining, and had a lot of heart.
Had a lot of heart.
I wish it would have gone a little more Supergirl though, just a little bit more.
She was, yeah. I mean, if you really want to break it down, there wasn't a really whole lot she did, but maybe we'll see her again.
Yeah.
What James Gunn has up his sleeve remains to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope whatever he has up his sleeve is, I'm sure, he's pretty solid. I think it'll be good. It is kind of strange, just going like full speed from one universe like right into another. That's new. We haven't really had that before because there's always been like a delay of like a period of years, right, between like one like person's vision to another, like the Snyderverse compared to the I don't know what we're even calling it, the Gunverse. I don't know. It's going to be two different things. So I think it'll be handled well if I had to guess, but it'll just be interesting. to see how it goes. I'm hopeful.
That's right. I agree. I am also hopeful. It's all we
Yeah,
can be.
that's all we can be. As long as they finish they let stuff come to a conclusion. Like I think I really want that to be its own, and it seems like it will. But I really want to see that continue on its own. I think that's a really important aspect that should not be like messed with too much.
Are you saying that you hope that James Gunn's universe is its own thing? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Because I'd love, the Batman Part 2 is coming in, I don't know, 2-3 years, and I just want to see that story continue, and I want to see that story be its own thing.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's very clear he's going to leave Matt Reeves' universe alone. In fact, he's doing his own Batman for Batman Beyond anyway, and so he'll have his own DCEU Batman. But yeah, I think it's clear that that's kind of fallen into the Black Label thing, much like the Joker stuff with Joaquin Phoenix and whatnot. And then he's got the Penguin stuff with Colin Farrell spinoff on HBO Max, or Max, I should just say. I think he's smart enough to know to leave that the heck alone, because that's what makes that work, right? There is no Superman in that universe, just in my opinion. Like, there's not one in Nolan's, and if there is, then why wasn't Bane 9 feet tall and Joker perma white, and all those things that made it work the way it did, where Ra's al Ghul wasn't literally immortal, but he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do all those tricky things to make it comic book accurate in this grounded spend reality, then all of a sudden you have Superman, and then it doesn't make any sense. Like, just go all in at that point. Have Bane 9 feet tall. What difference does it make?
Right.
There's a Kryptonian alien living on Earth, flying around with lasers shooting out of his eyes anyway.
Yeah.
So right, and so that's my personal opinion, of course, but that's how I look at it.
Yeah, no, that's true. One thing I did always want to see is like an Arkham Asylum, like the game, like type movie where like it's a Batman that's already established. We haven't seen his background because we don't need to be. He's just the Batman we all know and love. But we see like all the villains like just in one movie, like in one go. I always thought I mean, I don't know if that's a great idea, but I always thought it'd be cool to see something like that.
I honestly think that we're going to get something like that, because if you think about it, we had Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, and Joker in the Batman. And that the deleted scene, which is that Clarice, Dr. Lecter-esque kind of thing where he's going to him for assistance. You know what I'm talking about? The deleted Joker scene. That's an amazing Batman Joker scene. Amazing. I'm glad it's not in the movie, because I understand why they took it out. But just as an isolated scene, that's great. So I think we will get that.
Yeah, would be neat. Would be neat.
And
Basically, they're restarting the whole thing, so it's like a clean slate essentially, right? They can do anything. They can portray any of these stories, any of these characters. Just make it something new, and maybe there's a lot of value in that. It's a bummer, in many respects, to lose what's been established over the last decade, but it's also a clean slate to start fresh and do new things, cast new people, and try things that are different. So it's definitely a daunting like proposition. Like, I don't envy being in that position necessarily, as but it's also really cool. There's a lot of opportunity to do some really cool things in there, so a lot to be excited about, I would say.
Absolutely. And I think that ultimately what they also have to remember is that people like you and I, we're still the minority. We're loud. We have podcasts. We tweet. We have hashtags. And we have delusions of grandeur, right? We think that we are more of the audience than we really are. But if you really want to break it down, we are really truly a small percentage of the people that actually go to support these films that make them billion-dollar projects. I mean, we are. We can even the release the Snyder Cut passionate faction of that fandom, cool, but they are not enough people to make a box office impact. They're just not, and I can prove that. They would, because Justice League 2017 would have been a box office smash opening weekend, and it wasn't, and nobody knew it wasn't a Snyder film at that time. I think that's a very relevant thing to bring up. It ruffles a lot of feathers, but it's very true. No one was there opening night other than the Snyder fans. They were all there. They thought it was his film. So, and it's not just, I'm not picking on Snyder fans. I'm not picking on Snyder. I'm talking about just generally speaking, like Star Wars. Like those of us that go to Celebration and things like that, although I've never been to Celebration, but I would, is we are not the majority of people that go see Star Wars films. We're just not. So I think Gunn has an opportunity to really reach out to those, and the chips will fall where they may with people like you and I and this little weird, again, like I said at the top of your show, subculture within a subculture within a subculture, because we are ultimately just this loud minority. So, but in my opinion, drop it all. Like, especially after Flash, it's pretty apparent. Jason Momoa might be an exception with Aquaman 2. Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins' first Wonder Woman certainly was. But outside of those anomalies, it's just been largely meh to the general audience. From Man of Steel through B versus S, through Justice League, through Birds of Prey, through Shazam, through, in a weird way, Suicide Squad, the first one, actually made a lot of money. But again, I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I think that, and I'm sorry to jump ahead or whatever, but I think a lot of the box office problems that the Flash is having is because it's been marketed as a continuation of films that were rejected by the general audience, to be fair. I mean, it looked almost like a sequel to Man of Steel. And I love that movie, by the way, or basically love it. But general audiences just didn't. They didn't. So.
Yeah, there's many reasons for that too that are, we can hypothesize about, possibly, I mean, Man of Steel came out like right after the Avengers, and that whole, people had already been invested for many years at that point, several years into like a cohesive, series of films that led up to the Avengers, and then you have something new. It's like, oh, are we going to do that again? Can I follow another thing? Or maybe it's more like you say, like people are just, they go see what they like to see, right? They're just general, they're just happy moviegoers. They hear it's good from their friend. Oh, okay, I'll check it out.
Absolutely. I always wonder how Man of Steel would have performed or been if there wasn't a Superman Returns.
It's a good question.
I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have made a difference. Maybe it would have. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I say that I know the reasons. It's hard, right? Sometimes we have to like separate our own personal passionate views of a project or work of art to say it worked for me. I get what they were doing, but the masses just rejected it. Or rejecting is a hard word, but they certainly weren't invested enough for it to. There was more negativity than positivity in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And look, I'm a Last Jedi apologetic mofo, but I get it. I understand. Rian Johnson's never going to direct a Star Wars movie again. It's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so.
No. And I'd love him to. Personally, do backflips, but it's not going to happen. He should. He deserves it. He created, in my view, one of the top 3, top 4 best Star Wars masterpieces of all time. Who cares what I think? Way too many people thought it was weird and Luke mistreated and whatever. Go down the list, right?
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation that could be had.
Right. That's why I was pulling back on it. Going, no, don't, Rick, don't say it. If you say it, she'll say this. Then we'll spend the next 3 hours. I'm going to get infiltrated by teenagers here in 20 minutes anyway.
Yeah, we could totally have a Star Wars like chat about that though, because that is, and I know that's been beaten to death, by at this point, both ways. So, but yeah, I mean, no, I mean just movies in general, that's definitely like people that are super fans will either like something or they won't. Many times it'll be split. But then just the general movie going audience is a totally different thing. It's the dynamics are different. If they're, what they want is to go, I mean, my perception, to go to a movie, to be entertained, to enjoy something cool that they can talk about after, right? Like, and then that's that, right? They're not going to go out and buy all the action figures and the hot toys, and they're not going to go online and do a podcast about it. Like, for us, we'll do that, but most people aren't going to do that. So.
And it's kind of fun to kind of check in with those fans, right? Like I got a group of buddies. I mentioned them anecdotally a lot. And these guys, they're all dads. Their kids go to school with my kids. They're all up in Dallas. and they go see these movies, Victoria. They go see all the Batman, Star Wars, Avengers, but they don't. Here's what they don't know: they don't know the difference in Marvel and DC, right? I mean, they might now, but barely. They don't know who Ryan Johnson is. They don't know who J.J. Abrams is. They don't know who Zack Snyder is, or James Gunn, or Patty Jenkins, or insert name. They don't know. They don't give a darn. They don't care. They go see these movies. They see the trailers. That looks cool. Did you guys see that? Let's go see that. And they're the ones. Those are the people. And even those guys are in the minority because they'll go see stuff 3 or 4 times. Right? It's a fascinating perspective on things.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you're a kid, like, right, you see a trailer like for, I don't know, Jurassic Park or something, Men in Black, I don't know, and you're like, oh, that looks cool, that looks fun, I want to go see that, but you're not really thinking about, oh, Tim Burton, like, you're just a kid, you're enjoying it. Like, it's kind of like that. I feel like unless you're one of those along that diverging, like, end of people that go off on a thread to go on to do podcastings and live streams and videos, and you kind of maintain that sort of outlook when it comes to pop culture films. But that's just my thinking.
Sure. I like how you said kids as Jurassic Park. I was like, no, I was like a senior in high school. Which, by the way, is a kid. So that's cool.
Yeah, technically that is true.
My 30-year high school reunion is this year, showing my age. Just thought of that. Wow, because Jurassic Park came out in 93.
93. This is the 30th anniversary.
The Fugitive came out in 93. Best Harrison Ford movie outside of the Star Wars films, in my view.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen in years, but yeah, I remember seeing it.
Gosh, I told my group, by the way, just on a side note, we have a Facebook page, and we're like, how much time has gone by? This and that. I'm like, you guys ever done backwards math? What's backwards math? I said, so we're 30 years, right? Subtract 30 years from 1993, and John F. Kennedy was president of the United States. Yikes.
I do this all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Brian Young, Star Wars, right? He tweeted today, Casablanca was as far away from the day he was born as Goonies would be someone born today.
Wow.
Is that math right? It's depressing.
I love Casablanca. I love all those movies. That's aside from all this, I'm really into like classic Hollywood stuff, films.
Yeah, me too.
And yes, I love all those movies. But yeah,
anyway. And as a fan of these films, I think it's smart to admire and understand those films, because without that stuff working, modern cinema wouldn't be what it is. And without modern cinema, we wouldn't have what we have in the comic book vertical.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes back to something, my friend.
It does. It's all tied together.
It is.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, I guess I just want to finish by saying, hey, if anybody has, hopefully you've seen Flash if you're here. Like, kind of be a bummer if you hung out with us to hear all this stuff we've been talking about. But if you haven't, give it a look. It's try to go in blind as best you can and just enjoy it. I mean, you might be surprised how much you end up liking it. So,
well, and I have people asking me sometimes, what does this mean for the future of everything? And the truth be known, I think Gunn was rebooting a lot of the stuff, but I think this is just my personal guesstimation. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't have any inside information on this or whatever. It's just me talking as a fan. Is that I'm just curious of this because this thing is not looking good. I just glanced down at something that said it's going to have a 75% drop on second weekend or whatever. It's a disaster box office wise, and it doesn't deserve it. It's terrible. But any plans that might have been in place for certain things that maybe they could have done Black Label or whatever, I don't know. I don't know what the future is. I think Keaton's different. Quite frankly, I don't know what Keaton would do anyway. I mean, I don't know the man, but he was supposed to do all these things, and so much of what the Flash he did was cut out, not just in the typical editing things on the scene, but like pivotal things that led to things that he was going to do next. Batgirl's gone, etc. So I don't know if he wants to even mess with it at this point. But I just don't know. I don't know if we're going to see any of these actors again, other than obviously Aquaman that'll be coming out, and then how that goes, we'll see where it goes from there. But it's sad and exciting for me at the same time. Like I think it's probably time just to move on. And you said that earlier. There's a lot of great casting choices that like Henry Cavill still just didn't get that great Superman sequel. And but quite frankly, I think Brandon Routh deserved it too, to be honest. But he didn't get it either. So it is what it is. I cannot wait, Victoria, to see Superman Legacy. And so much is riding on that film. I don't envy James Gunn in this regard at all. But that film has to work, right? It has to hit on all cylinders. It has to be well received by audiences, critics, and do at least respectful at the box office. Because if it doesn't, I don't know what that means for him moving forward after that. So, knock on wood. Are you excited about it?
I mean, I am. Again, it's that whole thing of restarting a whole franchise essentially with a clean slate, which there's a lot of promise and excitement in that, but there's also a lot of potential for things to go wrong. As we've kind of seen off and on over the last decade, with the Snyderverse. But I am excited for the projects themselves. I want to see them do well, because yeah, if they don't go well, then I think there's a real chance that this whole DC film universe can maybe go on ice for another 20 years or something. And I don't think anybody wants that. So I'm hoping, for the best. I'm hoping that it's whatever they're re-envisioning is something that's going to speak to everybody, not just, not just one director's vision, not just like one, way of telling a certain story, but just something that's going to have that mass appeal that's been seemingly been missing from a lot of these recent projects. I think if they can do that and they can find a way to give it heart, to make it fun, and to make it entertaining, I think that's really, even if you don't go as deep in terms of like character studies or, things like that, I think if you can at least hit on all those notes and, you can do something that at least speaks to most people and is, for the masses is enjoyable and successful.
Very well said.
So last thing, all right, so it's your time to assign The Flash a rating between 1 and 10. What is your score?
Very rarely am I speechless. Let's just say on a scale of 1 to 10 that the Dark Knight is a 9. I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Out of curiosity, since you said the Dark Knight is a 9, what would be a 10?
I walked into that one, didn't I? My top 5 favorite comic book films of all time are Infinity War, Superman 2, the theatrical release, Batman Begins, Batman 89. I may have to give Batman Begins a 10 because I think the Dark Knight is probably a better, and I know this has been said before. I'm not reinventing the wheel by saying this, but I think it's just so perfectly accurate. I think the Dark Knight is a better movie. I think Batman Begins is a better Batman movie. In fact, I think it's a perfect Batman movie. I think it's perfect. I think it has the right amount of heart, mystery, fun, humor, action, performances. And there's some really crazy stuff as a Batman film fan that I never saw on film prior to that movie. And I love Batman 89. Love it. But there was still some stuff that Nolan did and Bell did that, that thing from the Tarantino film, what's it called? With Leonardo DiCaprio and he's on the couch. Like, ooh.
Let's spend a time in Hollywood.
Yeah, and he's pointing and he sees something. Like, I feel like that was me when I saw Batman Begins in the theater, like 20 times. Oh, he crouched. Oh, he said this. Oh, that was, Batman Begins a 10. Dark Knight, 9. Flash, 7.5.
All right.
Strong 7.5.
Right on.
Yeah. How about you?
Um, well, like I don't even know what I would consider a 10, like
I
honestly.
know that's the hardest part of your question.
Like I feel like the Batman, like I mean, as much as I love Batman 89, I would still say that's my favorite like Batman movie, like overall. Like I feel like the Batman is a better like Batman story. Um, like I don't know that I would even give that a 10 though. So like I'm all over the place because I have this thing like best versus favorite, and between that, like my feelings get all convoluted.
But shouldn't we just? And I agree, I do it the same thing. But so this is for both of us. Shouldn't we just merge them? Because ultimately, all this is just being subjective about art anyway, right?
Yeah, I'd give it a 9.
You give the Flash a 9?
I would.
Yeah, I might give it an 8. I'll bump it up to an 8. I think 7.5 was my original grade. I'll give it an 8. See, here's where you threw me off, my friend, is that I grade on grades. I don't know why. A plus, B minus. That scale to 1 to 10 throws my OCD. I go on a like whirl spin. Like, how do I even get my head wrapped around that?
Yeah, or we could treat it like a hotel, 5 stars.
No, that's even worse. The 10
Yeah,
makes it, the 10's easier than the 5.
or the good old fashioned, Siskel and Ebert, 2 thumbs up. You know. Anyway, I really liked it. I loved it actually.
I did too. I love it.
So yeah, there's perfect. No, I don't think any movie is perfect, but it hits all the right beats for me. The fun aspect, the heart aspect, the entertainment aspect, like all that is super important. If you balance that really well, you have a really good solid movie, and I think this movie did that. So at the end of the day, numbers, letters, thumbs, stars aside, like that's what I could say. But I really, really, really loved it.
I agree. And if I say that, if I may say this too, and really ultimately the box office doesn't matter. I mean, it matters right now in real time, but 10 years from now, think about it. When you look back on some of your favorite films, and let's say films that are driven by box office in terms of narrative, which are action, big budget films, it's just it's all about the ROI. It's about the return on the investment. So that's why. But I sometimes forget that Batman Begins did 300 million or 400 million, whatever it was. That's it. That's it. To me, that thing did 20 billion because it's so darn good. I don't think that we'll be talking about the box office of the Flash in the years. Who knows? Who cares? I don't.
Who knows? Who cares?
Who knows? Who cares? Right?
Yeah, it all that really matters at the end of the day is what you like. How you feel about it. If you love it, you don't love it, whatever anyone else says, is what it is. Like if
That's
you
right.
love it, and that's all that matters.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, Rick, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming on, and sorry again about all the weird internet stuff and the multiverse of Victoria trying to come in and ruin everything. I don't know what her deal is, but I hope she's okay.
I podcast too. This is part of it. And you know what? People that don't do it live, they do. They just timestamp, they edit, they cut it together. They're lazy. They're cheaters. We're doing it. We're taking it to the people. We're doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing it real.
For better or for worse, yes.
That's right. Live is live.
Well, cool. Well, thank you very much. Thanks to everybody in the chat. To those of you who moved from the first video over to the second stream, thank you for doing that. Thank you for your flexibility for working with us through the technical aspects of this whole form of show business. We really appreciate you. Thank you for leaving your comments and your questions and for sticking with us. Rick, where can our audience go to look you up on the interwebs?
Well, thanks for that. So, Friends Work Pod is our new podcast, Friends from Work, and I'm really proud of it. We're just getting it started, but we're off to a good start. A lot of great conversations, good guests, and I've got a lot of really cool guests. There's so many that I want to say. I've got this one person that's like it's a real big deal, but I can't say it yet. I don't want to jinx it, but we're almost there. And then for me personally, Shewrick, SHEWRICK. But Friends from Work, please, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, all that stuff, YouTube, hit us up, Facebook. And on behalf of myself, Courtney Sheik, and Brian Chatlin, we would really greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we will put links in the show notes, both this stream and the previous one, so that all that is there for everybody to click on and go to. Thanks again, everybody. Rick, thank you. And friends, no matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy, thanks for hanging out with us tonight on Cantina Social Hour. We will see you next week for our Jurassic Park 30th anniversary chat. It's going to be a fun time. We got a bunch of guests coming on, and we're going to have a blast. So hope to see you there. Everybody, take care, be well, have a great night.